Now, let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I am Dr. Edward Summers, and let's queer up politics. Trump's Nazi pink triangle post raises alarm among LGBTQ plus community. In a move that shocked many, President Donald Trump recently shared a post on his Truth social platform featuring a graphic of a downward pointing pink triangle, a symbol historically used by the Nazis to mark queer men during World War II. The post was linked to an article titled "Army Recruitment Ads Look Quite Different Under Trump" by former U.S. Army Intelligence Captain Jeremy Hunt. The piece criticizes President Biden's inclusive military ads, suggesting that under Trump and President Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, the U.S. military has shifted its focus to aggression and moving away from messages of inclusion. However, the issue isn't just the content of the article. It's the pink triangle itself. The downward pointing triangle is a deeply troubling symbol with deep, dark historical roots. During Nazi Germany, it was used to identify and persecute gay men in concentration camps, where they were subjected to medical experiments, castration, and execution. While the LGBTQ community has reclaimed the pink triangle, using it as a symbol of resistance and remembrance, its use in Trump's post has ignited fear and concern within queer communities. This comes on the heels of several controversial actions Trump has taken during his second presidency, including his reinstatement of the ban on trans individuals in the military and a ban on healthcare for transgender minors. Critics have noted that this post adds to a growing climate of fear for queer people in the U.S., especially as Trump continues to push policies that critics say undermine LGBTQ rights. This latest incident comes just months after tech mogul Elon Musk, a major Trump donor, faced backlash for what many considered a Nazi salute at a Trump rally. Well, this is where we're at, in 2025. We have an administration that is clearly one that is just reversing all the progress that we made as a nation. They have clearly stated, and we have to believe what they said, they clearly stated their hatred for various diverse communities. They don't like diverse communities. Right. I think that their stance is that they want an America that looks just like Elon and Trump, and they don't want anybody else. And they don't want anybody else to be equal to them. And so it's with the military ban, right? Banning trans people, right? And it's with the children, the gender affirming care, right? Disbanding that when less than 0.1% of young people are seeking gender affirming care, right? So anything that that shows America that they hate the other, they're willing to do. And this is just a latest example of it.
Well, and also a couple of things to point out. One, armed forces recruitment ads tend to have a cycle. When Biden was president, the economy was good. There are plenty of job growth. Unemployment is a historical low. And that's when usually armed forces recruitment ads tend to be more fluffy and more like, try, our cool tech, we are a really good place to work with diverse people. Yeah. But, with the Trump recession coming, or Trump session, if you will, now that, we fired millions and millions of people, when U.S. is going into recession, the armed forces tend to be more popular as a recruitment, and therefore they tend to show more reality of how army life is versus the armed forces fantasy,
right?
Sure. So this is not news. They are just leveraging it. And second, using the pink triangle, and of course it's Washington Times. It is one of the most arch conservative press in the country. They're owned by a reunification church, a radically anti-LGBTQ church based in South Korea, no less. And the thing is, the pink triangle, of course they'll use it. They don't care about the history. They want people to be scared. Right. I'm not scared. I'm angry. Right.
And anything to divide the country, they're using.
Yeah.
It's all about division, right? Dividing us so that we are a country in Elon Musk's vision. I argue that Elon Musk really hates America. I don't think people realize that. He hates us by dismantling our government, right? Our administrative state. He's showing that he really hates us. He doesn't like us. You know, he's gotten rich off of us. He's gotten rich off of a lot of people, but now he hates us. He wants to completely dismantle us, and he wants us to go backwards, right? He almost wants us to be a modern day South Africa, right? Where, quite frankly, in South Africa, the white Afrikaners have all the money, right? And yeah, it's run by black people, but the money and power lies with all the white Afrikaners, and that's what he wants. You know? And so,
if he could reinstate apartheid, he would.
oh, he would.
I was about to say, when I think Elon Musk does not want the modern constitutional governance of South Africa, I think he'd prefer apartheid. But like, I think looking at Trump's, language in social media, I get there's a lot of reasons to be scared for this country, but then, I see his completely weak attempt at like scary military imagery. I don't care if it's from the Washington Times or if he made it himself. As usual, President Trump, you only seem to tweet on the toilet, and you can't seem to handle doing a decent piece of social media. It's old school boomer crap. Like, it's always a few years past its prime sort of imagery. It's always just like sort of, I'm like, thanks, Grandpa. Like as usual, you're so uncool. That's what I see with this. It's just once again an old man on the toilet trying to tweet and doesn't even know how to press enter half the time.
And you think, I said this before, it's a diversion tactic.
Yeah.
He's attacking our communities in a way that he's pushing our buttons, and we're letting him see that he's pushing our buttons.
Right.
Don't let him see that the economy is crashing.
Right.
Distracted by gay people.
That's right.
Right.
Trans people, right?
Right.
Banning them from the military, right?
Right.
'Cause, yeah, absolutely. It is a
Or
diversion.
book burning, or all this stuff that Republicans.
Because what's
are
going to
very
happen
good at.
is we're all of a sudden going to see what he was doing behind the scenes, because we were so focused on the attack or the imagery that he's using that there's something else going on.
Well,
in
the
works.
smoke and mirrors,
Right.
I know that's been brought up before.
Yep.
No, it's big smoke and mirrors, and to the point that Bobby's making too is that he's trying to distract away from what's happening with the economy, right? Like the fact that the reality is I know a lot of people thought our government was bloated, but anytime you have massive layoffs, you're leading into a recession. You're going to go into a recession because guess what? Like the externalities associated with layoffs, right? Is that all of a sudden you have all of these people, thousands and thousands of people unemployed, looking for jobs. And there might be a disconnect between the available jobs and these people's experiences and qualifications, right? So they might not even qualify for the jobs that are already out there, right? And then what we go into is, right, people who are underemployed, right? You have people who who are making a lot of money, who are highly qualified, are forced to take certain level jobs and change their standard of living. And then the externality to that is that it impacts housing, it impacts food, it impacts consumption, right? So this has a huge ripple effect. And to your point, he is distracted away from the main issue here is that their layoffs are terribly impacting the economy. We've seen the stock market, right, go down. We've seen Elon shares go down, right? Like this is all has an impact, but like this is a way to get the conservative base riled up, right, to talk about gay issues, right, and trans issues in particular.
The economic issues are completely man-made, as the term Trump session. I wonder who mentioned that word to you.
But it's
seriously
the
for a
tariffs,
second.
though. It's the tariffs that's even more serious because it is completely arbitrary. He just kind of say
25% on
But
this,
the
30%
jobs
on
do
this.
matter. It's not just federal jobs. Remember, he's cutting federal jobs left and right. He's curtailing government funding of higher education, which is a huge job creator. You're going to see higher ed mass layoffs. And he's trying to investigate nonprofits to try and force them to be unable to exist. So you have all these different major, completely unconnected employment centers collapsing all at once. That is going to lead to a huge ripple effect in the economy.
Well, to your point, I stay up on reading higher education literature. Higher ed has laid off a lot of people, right? You have the major institutions like Penn and Michigan, who aren't getting any NIH funding and all these NSF funding, all these federal grants that have made a significant difference in our lives, right? Like, because they don't have access to these funds anymore, they're forced to lay off lots of their staff. There's hiring freezes. So that, again, this externalities, right, associated with these layoffs and the funding freezes are the taking back of funding literally has impacted every sector.
Yeah.
It's going to continue to impact every sector.
And don't look at the stock market. I looked at my stocks. I'm like, oh, thanks, Donald. I've lost hundreds of dollars already. Goodness.
Yeah. No, it's tough, but this is what we're in for the next 4 years, and we just have to stand together as a community and fight against this.
It's only been 2 months.
Right. Absolutely. Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There's no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.